Hi, this is Mike Wendt from the Greater Cleveland Film Commission, and I am very pleased today to have Amy Stoch, and she is currently in Bill and Ted Face the Music. You know her as Missy from the other films. Before we go into other things, just tell us how this all came about, to be approached for the new film after so many years after doing the second film.
Yeah, this being a part of this trilogy has just been Mr. Toad's wild ride in terms of ups and downs and excitement and then waiting and then more excitement and then more waiting. So specifically, we did Excellent Adventure, and I think you know the story now about Excellent Adventure, how after we shot it, it sat in the vault for 2 years uncut because DEG went bankrupt, as companies do. And we had no idea at that time that it was ever going to come out, ever. So you move on as an actor because, a lot of stuff you shoot just never sees the light of day. And then lo and behold, it gets bought and put together and comes out in 1989, and it's this little tiny smash hit. So that was fun. And then 2 years later, we do Bogus Journey, which was another great experience. It was really cool. But can we just talk about waiting 32 years to revisit this universe? And what I think is very interesting, and we kind of talked about this right before we started our formal interview, is I don't think Face the Music could have come out at a better time. Fans, they've been wanting it for so long. I only started hearing about it seriously about 6 years ago when I moved back to LA. I know Ed and Chris, the two writers, and Keanu and Alex have been working on it for 10 years, a little bit longer, the ideas, but they really worked hard to get this what they wanted, which was not a reboot, but a continuation of the story. So here we are 32 years later, and speaking personally, how do you revisit a bombshell 32 years later? That was an interesting thing. And if you ever talk to my sister Beth, she was there firsthand to experience what it was like when I found out how I was going to play this character according to the director. But it's, and I say this a lot, men in this industry can age. They're allowed to. And Keanu and Alex, holy moly, they really aged well. They're really good looking men still in their 50s. Well, hi, I'm 61 and a half, almost 62, and when I shot the original ones, I was in my late 20s. I was young, and now I'm not. And so women in this business are not allowed to age very well. They're supposed to stay young and vibrant and sexy, and especially a bombshell, which Missy was. So in my mind, I'm not a radical feminist, but I am a feminist, and I believe in who I am as a person. I'm also a doctor, so, I love all of that about me. So for me, who has studied women's history for years now, to have to find that reason why they needed that blonde wig on me after all these years so that I look like the character. So the actor in me understood that. The woman in me did not. And that was very difficult to wrap my brain around. But honestly, revisiting the character was not difficult at all. I love Missy. I have loved her from the 6 times I auditioned for her for the first film. Yeah, 6 times.
Wow.
And discovered her in that audition process, and then just had some fun with her. And I still have fun with her. I love the character, and she's a very deep part of me. So yeah, 32 years, no problem. Back on that bike,
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet, but the manner in which you are introduced in the new film, for me and my friends when we watched it, it was like got some of the generated some of the biggest laughs. I mean, was that kind of the same reaction that you had when you read that script, or?
Uh, yes. Um, well, okay, no spoiler alerts. I'll try to dance around this without any spoiler alerts.
Yeah.
Actually, when I found out for sure, definite sure, that I was in this, was about 3 years ago at WonderCon down in Anaheim. And Boom Studios, who did a series of Bill and Ted comic books, wanted me down there to sign autographs, and it was fun. I got to be in the booth with Brian Lynch. He writes Secret Life of Pets 1 and 2 and Minions and all. He's a great guy. Huge fan of Bill and Ted, by the way. And then Scott Krupp was there, the original producer, and we hadn't seen each other in 30 years. So it was so fun to reconnect with him at WonderCon. And at one point during the afternoon, he leans over to me and he says, "By the way, there is a third film and you're in it." And I went, I just exploded. So that was when I learned, yes, I am definitely in it. When I learned what I was going to be doing was another year later, and they were doing a Bill and Ted marathon at a big theater down in Santa Monica, when we could still go to the movie theaters. And Alex was going to be there, and Scott Krupp was going to be there to do a Q&A. And so I thought, what a hoot. I'll just drive down there and surprise everybody, which I did. And they invited me up on stage afterwards, and they're talking, so I got to be part of the panel after the shows, which was a lot of fun. But then again, as I'm walking out, Scott does another one of his lean over and whisper in my ear, "By the way, here's what you're going to be doing." And I went, the mom in me went, "What?" "Oh, okay." So yeah, remember what we were talking about, that, that feminist issue that I had to deal with when starting to film. Well, you've seen the film and you see what I do in that first scene. And I had to come to grips with the fact that I'm almost 62 and my partner is only in his late 30s. That was a little difficult. It was a little difficult because, I wish I could tell you more, because I don't want to spoil it, but I wish you could tell you more about that. So that was an interesting experience. I think at one point, and you'll know what I'm talking about, when we were actually shooting the scene, and after I talked with the director, Dean, and I said, "Okay, Dean, Bogus Journey, there was a really hot scene in here with Hal. What do you want between that and this? Where are we on the spectrum?" He said, "I want that." I went, "Okay, I'll go do it." And right before we started that take, I leaned over to my partner, my scene partner, and I said, "I deeply apologize for what I'm about to do to you." Action, woo, let's just go for it. So, it was really funny. When I saw the scene, when we shot the scene, it was really so much fun. First of all, I could watch the guys be the guys again, which was so lovely and so heartwarming. They are just wonderful to watch. And second of all, I got to do some funny stuff in that. When I saw the scene in the film, as an actor, I'm speaking only personally for myself, I was a little disappointed because we shot so much more. And as always happens to actors, and by the way, we never get over this, by the way, you never know how much of what you shoot is going to be in the film. And I was just a tad disappointed that more of what we shot wasn't in it, because it was funny. It was, and my scene partner was fabulous. And but what is in the scene is funny, and I'm glad you liked it, because that's my favorite too. It's just a really cool, fun scene. It was 1 billion degrees and 9 million% humidity in New Orleans in late July, but whatever.
Well, before we, because I want to talk a little bit about your history with Cleveland and how you got into this business, but I guess I got to ask, what, and you kind of already touched on it, but what are Alex and Keanu like with working with them on screen?
Oh, they're wonderful. They're just wonderful. Even from day one, we were in the first film, most of us were just starting out. We weren't practically anybody in that cast. And so there was a real ensemble camaraderie feel that gave us the base of working together. And since then, both Alex and Keanu have gone on to magnificent careers in the business, are very successful men in the business. But let me just tell you, they are the nicest men. They are wonderful people. I mean, like I said, they're both so successful, and none of that is put over you. Coming back into this film, I'm the lowest on the totem pole, man. I mean, the cast is, can we talk about this cast? Holland Taylor, oh my God, I'm such a fan. So yeah, so I kind of came into this going, ooh, I really haven't done much acting and I was really very nervous about that too. But sitting and watching, as I said, in the first day of my work, the camera wasn't on me, it was on the two guys, and sitting and watching them play together, it was just like 30 years had never happened. And there's still those sweet young boys who became best friends during this whole Bill and Ted universe process. And they're approachable, they're nice, they're interested. I mean, I talked with Keanu on our last night together. I wanted to get his autograph on a picture I had. And he actually asked me about my dissertation. And I'm like, you really don't want to hear about that, really? You do? And he said, yeah, I do. So we talked a little bit about, what I wrote about, which was cool. And Alex is just a joy. He's just a dear person and so smart. Oh, God, would love to work with him and his company someday as, like historical researcher or anything. I'd love to help him because the work he's doing is truly amazing in his documentaries. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I just watched the Showbiz Kids on HBO, which is pretty awesome. Now, let's talk about you. I'm just curious as to, maybe many people may not know that you are from Cleveland and, where, so I guess
Cleveland rocks, dude. Cleveland rocks.
Yes. Now, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like what neighborhood you kind of grew up in, and what kind of gave you the acting bug.
Wow. Okay. Here's another long answer, but I'll give you the brief version. I grew up in Euclid, Ohio, which is a northeast suburb. We're about 30 minutes away. Or when you in Shaker Heights used to take the train into Cleveland. Do that. So growing up in Euclid, it was, and we grew up our house was on Edgecliff Drive, which was right on Lake Erie. So I got the beach and the lake, and it's just so beautiful. But how I got the acting bug, I don't know. I think I was born with it. It's been in there since before I was probably even conceived. I love to tell this story because my mother used to love to tell this story a lot. In second grade at Wells Elementary School, which is no longer there, but at Wells, Mrs. Jackson, we had career day in second grade. And I remember this distinctly. I remember sitting there and she's putting all these professions on the chalkboard and she's describing all of them. And I'm looking at them and going, none? No. Movie star. Oh, okay. So I went home from school that day and promptly announced to my mother I was going to be a movie star. And I didn't even know what one was probably at that point, but that impressed me so much that I never wavered all through elementary, junior high, high school, college, and all three of my degrees. That love of theater and performing and acting has just never, ever left me. And I don't know where it comes from. None of my family were actors. I think I'm the first one. But my mom, and Clevelanders, you'll remember all of this, Higbee's, the Higbee Company in downtown Cleveland. My mother used to work there when I was very young. Wow, what fun. And there was a man there, John Bone, I believe his name was. He was kind of like the employee coordinator. And every year they would put on an employee talent show. And it was, oh my God, it was so much fun. And my sister and I were part of the Tweety Chorus, and we were in part of those shows. So that was a lot of fun because my mom was on stage singing and dancing as well. And then also through the Higbee Company, my mom got my sister and I into modeling, doing ads for Higbee's, and we would do fashion shows. And so I was really involved because of my mom through the Cleveland scene back then and through the Higbee Company. And segue, many years later, I come back from New York. Had no idea what I was going to do after, this was after college, after the American Academy in New York. And I came home and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so my dad suggested, why don't you go down to some Cleveland modeling agencies and see if you can get connected. So I did, and I went to Dorian Lay Agency and signed up. And I'll tell you, from 1980 to 82 was when I was there for 2 years. We had a really rocking group of models. We were hot, man. We were doing ads for everything. We were, at that time, Higbee's and May's and the department stores were still all producing. And I did commercials. I did a national ad series for Bonnie Bell Cosmetics. I won that, and they flew me to New York. And that was all through Cleveland agencies. So from there, my agent was going to retire, so the agency was closing down. So she went to Chicago to Shirley Hamilton's, and she took 6 of us, our portfolios, with her to introduce to Shirley Hamilton. So Dorian actually gave us that in to Chicago. So I moved to Chicago, started with Shirley Hamilton's. Boy, and the rest is freaking history, man. It just steamrolled from there. But honestly, Cleveland, Ohio, modeling scene gave me my start again. So that was pretty cool.
That's great. I mean, and I think there's a lot of people from this area who, much like yourself, were aspiring actors and, maybe even in the modeling scene. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who is looking to get to that next level? Be it maybe from here, or, I mean, should they start to look outside of Ohio in order to boost that profile?
That's a very good question. I would say definitely yes, of course. Here's the thing. It all depends on who you are and what you want, okay? For me, I was kind of just led. I didn't necessarily go, oh, someday I'm going to move to Chicago, someday I'm going to move to Los Angeles. No, I was kind of, the opportunity came and I took it. And then another opportunity came and I took it. That's the difference. That's number one. If you get the opportunity to move or to go to a bigger city, to try what you're doing, do it. Why not? Why wouldn't you? If this is what you want, and on a bigger scale, okay, then you need to move to those cities that have that bigger scale: New York, Chicago, Cleveland, or Los Angeles. So if you want that shot at a bigger career or a more involved career, I won't even say a bigger career, just a more involved in the business career, you've got to move to where it is. If it's theater, Chicago, New York. If it's film, possibly Atlanta to start and then jump into LA. But now that's for someone who wants to do that. If you want to do what you're doing and you love where you live, don't leave. Stay. What can you do in your hometown? What can you do in Cleveland? You guys have a really good, or you did, and I think you still do, a really good theater system. And you've got a really good film society. You've got a really good city. People go there all the time to shoot. Investigate. Should I be a member of this corporation? Should I sign up with the Ohio Film Board for extra work? Are there agents? What can I do in my region to do what I love to do? There are tons of opportunities, and you just need to seek those out. All right? But like I said, if you want the bigger shot, you got to go to the bigger city. Bottom line, you can't stay where you are. You have to move. And if it doesn't work out, like my father always told me, you can always come home.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. What kind of things are coming on the horizon for you?
No, I'm back to auditioning and waiting for the next whatever to happen. No, I'm an older woman, and things really drop off for older women. Do I sit and wait for the phone to ring? No, I can't. You know, there just isn't that much content out there for someone like me. So I teach. I'm an adjunct instructor at 3 different universities this fall, which is fine for now. It's a way to make money. It's not my desire. It's not my dream. My dream is to be a working actor again. I don't know if that's possible. So I'm also writing. I've got a screenplay. I've got 2 plays that I want to start shopping around. I had 1 play that was put into a summer playwriting festival last year, which was exciting. I had a reading of that with 5 professional actors. It was pretty cool. In terms of where I go next or what I do next, I don't know. And that is something else. If you want advice, that's something else you as an actor have to realize. You can push and work and network as much as you can, but ultimately it's going to be other people making the decision about you to give you your next step. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to find other ways to survive while waiting for that to happen. All right? So for me, I don't know. I'm at a crossroads. I have no idea. My son lives in the Chicago area. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm extremely tired of being away from him. I see him once, maybe twice a year. And before the shutdown, now with the shutdown, I don't know when I will ever see him. And that really bites. So I am contemplating another move, even though I love Los Angeles. I love California. I do. A lot of people say it's a mess, and it is. But I found myself here many years ago, and this is where my heart and soul is for who I am as a professional. But like I just told you, it's not working out. You got to go. So it's not working out. I got to go. And I don't know where yet, but we'll see. I just know I want to be closer to my son. Not that he wants his mother closer to him. That's just too bad.
Well, I think we would like, if you were close to the Midwest, maybe we can get you involved in some things over this way.
That'd be cool.
Now, before we kind of wrap this up, I mean, do you ever get, say, stopped on the street and, from the Bill and Ted films, do people call you mom sometimes, like when they run into you, or?
That's cute. No, because I don't look anything like any 3 incarnations of Missy. I really don't. Not even in this 3rd one. Back in the day, all those 30 some odd years ago, occasionally, but the part I got most recognized for, especially in grocery stores for some reason, was Britta Englund from Days of Our Lives, a daytime soap man. There was nothing more visible than that back then. Now with social media, which is a lot of fun. I don't do Facebook, by the way, folks. I just don't like it. So Twitter and Instagram I love Twitter. And that's what's so cool is I started getting really into social media only about maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I knew this was actually going to start happening. I wanted to start playing around with it. And what I discovered when I re-entered this world was our fan base. And I was blown away by these people who have been fans all these years. And what's really cool is what I told you, like with Brian Lynch and some other people who are now famous in their own right. As kids, they were fans of Bill and Ted. Now they've grown up loving this franchise. And here are these major stars going, I just love Bill and Ted. What? Okay. That's really cool because I'm a huge fan of yours, but that's great. Let's interact. So that's been really, really neat. And yeah, I love to play around with fans on Twitter, and they do call me Missy, I mean Mom. And sometimes there's a thread happening with Ed Solomon, one of the writers. He loves Twitter as well, and he's always on Twitter doing stuff with the fans. And every once in a while, a fan will have a comment or something, and I'll just break in and comment on it as well. And then pretty soon I get a tweet of, whoa, Missy, I mean Mom. And they're just so excited that you're engaged with them. And I'm like, yeah, of course I am. You guys made us. You made this happen. So yeah, I love our fan base, and I love interacting with all of them. So that's been fun.
That's awesome. Well, Amy Stoch, thank you so much. Everybody, please go out and you can either rent or you can actually buy Bill and Ted Face the Music online. You can also see it's playing at the drive-in locally here at the Aut-O-Rama Drive-In. It's playing with Weird Science this weekend, by the way.
Cool.
So it's a cool double feature. And then also it is playing at some of the theaters locally. So,
Good.
go out and support this film. And thank you,
But
Amy.
be safe while you're doing it.
Yes.
Missy Mom talking. Be safe while you're doing it, please. Because what I did is I bought it on YouTube, and then I shared it through Zoom with my son. So he and I actually got to watch it together, which was fun.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
So just as long as you guys are safe, go out and enjoy the movie. And as you said earlier, Mike, yeah, this we need this. We need this bit of joy in our lives right now. And I just think Face the Music is the perfect ending of this trilogy. So I hope you all enjoy it. And thank you.
Thank you, Amy. It's been a pleasure.
Me too. Hopefully we can meet someday. Maybe if I ever make it back to Cleveland, if we open up again, it would be really nice. Because my sister and her family live there, and I'd love to see them too, and all my friends.
We'll be happy to take you out to dinner.
Oh, cool. All right. Thank you. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Thank
Go
you.
Indians. Go Browns. Bye.